When Naruto awoke, he found himself not in his bedroom and felt something on his chest. Quickly remembering where he was, he looked down and saw Anko's head on his naked chest. He smiled as he saw the smile and peaceful look on her face. He stroked her hair for a few minutes before noting what time it was and created a shadow clone and ordered it to make breakfast. A half hour later, Anko started to wake as she smelled something delicious. She felt someone kiss her forehead and heard them say, "Good morning. Breakfast will be here soon." She looked up and saw Naruto's smiling face. "It's real," he heard her whisper. He leaned down and captured her lips in a kiss. "Yes, it's real, Mitarashi Anko. I know this is happening kind of fast as we only met yesterday, but I do care for you, and while I can't say I love you yet, if you're willing to give me a chance, I know that this can work." Anko smiled and kissed him. They were interrupted when Naruto's clone walked in with 2 trays. When the clone placed the tray in Anko's lap and stole a kiss from her, she finally noticed that she was only in her purple bra and panties and him only in boxers. She blushed as she remembered them undressing each other and their hands roaming over each other's body. "I can't believe I did that. We only met yesterday and yet I already feel so comfortable around him, and wow, I still can't believe what an amazing body he has and his large equipment." Anko thought and had a bit of blood drip from her nose. Naruto noticed this and used his pointer finger to wipe it away, and she watched as he placed it in his mouth. "OMG, that was hot. I thought only I did that," Anko thought. Sweet. I can't wait to taste more, Anko-chan," Naruto said with a grin and kissed her cheek. Anko shivered, and before she lost it and jumped him, giving him her virginity. Yes, she's 24 and a virgin. Remember, not many people like her, so her love life is practically non-existent, and she isn't going to just fuck some random guy. She focused her attention on the tray in her lap. She saw a plate with eggs, pancakes, sausages and a glass of orange juice. She cut a slice of the pancakes and took a bite. Her face glazed over before she returned to normal and ravaged her plate. Naruto chuckled and said, "I'm glad you like it, hubby Haim. We'll head over to the Hokage Tower at noon. That should give enough time for Kurenai-chan to get her team today and give them the test if she's doing it today, and for the rest of the girls to arrive." Anko nodded, excited to finally be relieved of this seal. She smiled at him with her cheeks puffed out with food in them and a fork in her mouth. Naruto laughed at the scene and began to eat his food. They each took a shower and got dressed. They had spent the morning together at her place talking and learning more about each other. When the time came, he grabbed her hand and pulled her to him. She wrapped her arms around his waist and he used a high Shunshin no Jutsu, fire body flicker technique, and the two appeared in the Hokage's office. The fire receded and Anko stepped back and said, "You've gotta teach me how to do that, Naru-kun." Naruto noticed everyone nodded their head. "I'd love to. It's actually pretty easy to do once you figure it out," Naruto said. He looked around and the only other male besides him was the Hokage. "Good to see you, Gigi. Hana-chan, Sung-chan, Tsubaki-chan, Makoto-chan, Yugao-chan, Kurenai-chan. How is everyone doing?" Naruto greeted and asked. The women smiled at him and each gave him a kiss on the lips. "Lucky bastard," the Hokage thought with a nosebleed. He wiped it away before anyone noticed and coughed to get their attention. "It's good to see you as well, Naruto-kun. Are you ready to remove Anko's curse seal?" the Hokage asked. Naruto nodded his head and said, "Hi, I am Hokage-sama." Sarutobi knew Naruto was serious if he addressed him like that. "Good. May I ask though why you wanted these women here?" "I figured Anko-chan would like to have her friends here, and since I need her to remove some clothing, I didn't want any males here, and even though I love you, Gigi, I'm going to have to kick you out as well," Naruto said. Anko was glad Naruto thought of that, and while she loved the Hokage as a grandfather as well, she knew he was still one of the biggest perverts she knew. The Hokage nodded and entered the sleeping quarters attached to the office. Naruto placed a privacy jutsu up so no one could enter and turned back to Anko. "Alright, Anko-chan, I need you sit down and remove your coat and shirt so I can draw the seals." Anko nodded and complied. Naruto moved next to her and ran his fingers across the seal, making her shiver. He unsealed his things and began drawing the seals. When he was done, he told Anko, "This is going to hurt, Anko-chan." She nodded and he went through 25 hand seals and yelled out Fuinjutsu, Bachifu Heiho, sealing arts, curse seal removal. The others watched as the seals started circling around before entering Anko's cursed seal, making her scream. They then watched as Naruto's eyes widened and his hands started glowing white and she quieted down. After 5 minutes he stopped and was panting hard and looked at her neck, smiling at seeing her seal gone. "Congratulations Anko-chan, you're finally free," Naruto said. Anko put on her shirt and was about to get up to hug Naruto when he started to wobble and fell into her lap. They others screamed, "Naruto," and ran to him. The Hokage heard and ran into the room. He saw Naruto face first in Anko's lap, panting hard. "What happened?" he questioned. Soon spoke up, "We don't know." He removed the seal and then he started to wobble and fell. Naruto groaned and said, "While I wouldn't mind being in this position further along in our relationship, Anko-chan, could you help me turn around?" Anko and the others all blushed while Sarutobi was blown back by a nosebleed. Once the Hokage awoke and Naruto's head was on Anko's lap with her hand running through his hair, Naruto explained what happened. "As you can see, I was successful in removing Anko-chan's cursed seal. However, during the removal I discovered something. Unlike the seal I removed from Anko, whose seal was still experimental, the others that were removed were complete and the power of those seals were contained in a sort of bubble, and when the user would use the seal, that bubble would explode. Now the difference with Anko's seal is that it wasn't contained in this bubble and was moving through Anko-chan's chakra system, slowly destroying her coils. If I hadn't used the healing abilities of my light element, she would have died within 3 years." The others were shocked at this and Naruto said with a serious face, "But what really pisses me off is that any medic should have been able to see this as well as any Hyuga with their Byakugan. So unless Anko hasn't been to the hospital in a few years, then they have deliberately withheld that information." Naruto had managed to lift himself from Anko's lap at the end and was unintentionally leaking killing intent. Anko felt it and quickly hugged him, making him relax in her embrace and let it go. "I see. I'll start an investigation into this matter personally," the Hokage said. Deciding to lighten up the mood, he walked over to the now standing Anko and Naruto and hugged her. "I am truly happy for you, Anko. You are finally living the life you deserve." Anko smiled and hugged her grandfather figure back. Anko was hugged by the other girls in the room, and after a few minutes of talking that each of them learned Mizuki was arrested yesterday. He had confessed to working for Orochimaru after being sent to Ibiki from what he did to Naruto during the test. Apparently a few other ninja had reported him acting strangely for a few months, and Sarutobi couldn't question him until he pulled that stunt on Naruto, which gave him an opening. Suddenly Naruto asked a question, "So Kurenai-chan, who did you get for your team?" Kurenai smiled and said, "I got a tracker team consisting of Hyuga Hinata, Aburame Shino and Inazuka Kiba." Naruto smiled at her. "Sounds like the perfect group for you, Kur-chan. Have they passed your test yet?" Kurenai blushed at her nickname and became confused at the test part. "How do you know of that?" she asked, looking at the Hokage for an answer. He just shrugged and said, "He knows a lot of things that he shouldn't." She looked back at him and sighed at his innocent whistling. "Well, yes, they did pass. I had them track me, and the first 2 to touch me would pass, while the 3rd member would be sent back to the academy." Shino figured out the truth of the test quickly enough, and they had Kiba track me. Shino drained my chakra with his bugs and Hinata immobilized me with her gentle fist style. Once they did that, Kiba and Shino touched me at the same time as did Akamaru by jumping on my head, passing the test. Of course they never actually had a chance, but that wasn't the point of the test. The others nodded at her answer. Naruto noticed it was close to 1 p.m. and said, "You girls hungry?" They each nodded their head and he said, "How about I take you all home with me and cook you some lunch? That way I can get to know each of you better." Anko was the first to answer, and when the others saw how quickly she responded, she explained, "Naru-kun is an amazing cook. He made breakfast in bed for me this morning. I could definitely get used to waking up on your naked chest and being served breakfast each morning." She sighed with a dreamy look, and the other girls made a face that said, "What?" She laughed at their expression and said, "I'll explain over lunch." They nodded at that. "All right, well, how about each of you grabs a part of me and I'll teleport us over there," Naruto said. Hana jumped into his arms, making him hold her bridal style. Anko and Kurenai each grabbed an arm. Sume and Makoto grinned at each other and grabbed an ass cheek each, making Naruto yelp and blush, while Tsubaki and Yugao placed their hands less than an inch from Naruto's crotch and were grinning at feeling something twitch in his pants. With a red-faced Naruto he quickly said goodbye to the sputtering Hokage and teleported him and his 7 guests in front of the gate to his compound. When he led them in, each was amazed at how large and beautiful it was. It was easily the biggest compound in Konoha, beating the Hyuga and Uchiha easily. He led them to the main house and opened the door for them. They each gave him a kiss on the way in. He went to go get a yame while he made some clones to make lunch, and the girls were in the living room looking at Anko. Explain. They all said. After his clone dropped me off, I had just taken off my coat when he returned a few seconds later. He led me onto the couch and sat me down. Then he pulled out a scroll and unsealed 3 things. One of which I thought I'd never see again. They were a journal, a picture of my mother and I, and this, my mother's necklace. Anko said, pulling the necklace out from her neck. Kurenai gasped as she heard this. She and Anko were best friends, and she knew how sad Anko was after she lost her mother's necklace and couldn't remember where it was after Orochimaru erased her memories. Where did he find them? Kurenai asked. In one of Orochimaru's compounds in Sea Country. My memories have also started to return as I read more of my journal, and I've started to remember more since he healed my mind as well during the removal of the seal. Also, I don't know about you girls, but this man is too good to let go, even knowing how many women all have to share with him, and we've all seen his heart is big enough to love all of us equally. Anko said with a smile. They all smiled at that and nodded. Naruto and Ayame had returned a few minutes later, and Ayame joined them in the living room. 30 minutes later, Naruto alerted them lunch was ready. When they entered the dining room, they couldn't stop the drool coming from their mouths. There in front of them on the long table that was easily capable of fitting 30 people was an assortment of food. There was steak, which Sum and Hana were drooling at, sweet bean soup and dango, which Anko and Kurenai were drooling at, salad, onigiri, which Makoto and Ayame were drooling at, and of course his masterpiece, ramen, which surprisingly Tsubaki was drooling at. Naruto and the girls had a great time during lunch. After they were done, he led them around the house. Each was surprised at how many rooms there were, and when he showed them the clan library. They were very eager to come back to try his personal onsen and spend a little personal time with Naruto in the private onsen. When they got back in the living room, he told them the same thing he told Anko that morning. I know this is happening kind of fast for all of us as we only met yesterday, but I do care for all of you, and while I can't say I love you yet, if you're willing to give me a chance, I know that this can work. With that, he created a clone for each girl and he went to Yugao and they had a long make-out session. Everybody could hear moans coming from the others, which only turned everybody on more. When they were done, each clone had their respective women in their lap as he had Yugao. He held her around her waist and was kissing and nibbling her neck. The time came to leave and Naruto had collected a sample of their blood to allow them access into the compound. After escorting them to their homes, Naruto did the dishes and noticing it was 10 p.m. went to bed, where he woke up in the seal and found Kyuubi taking a late shower. He got an idea and smirked. Warning lemon. Naruto removed his clothes, letting his 8-inch dick free. He'd been horny all day after having Yugao on him. She would occasionally grind her ass into him, and as he found out from his clone's memories, the other girls had the same idea. The idea of taking his vixen in the shower was making him even harder. They had somehow not done it in there yet. He quietly opened the shower door. He saw Kyuubi bent over washing her legs, and he couldn't hold it any longer and slammed his cock right in her, making her scream, "Oh fuck." Kyuubi was washing herself after she had masturbated, thinking of her and Naruto. She could feel him getting horny, and when his clone's memories came, she came as well. She was so deep in thought that she didn't even sense Naruto come in, and as she was bent over washing her legs, she felt something very familiar enter her tight cunt, making her yell, "Oh fuck." Naruto continued pounding into Kyuubi. She was still sensitive from her earlier orgasm, and after 15 minutes she'd come twice as he shot his hot cum into her womb. "Oh Kami, that was amazing, Naru-kun," Kyuubi panted. She turned around and got on her knees, taking his cock covered in her juices, and started sucking him off. She bobbed up and down for a few minutes, then took out his cock only to place it between her large DD breasts. She rubbed his cock with her tits as she sucked and licked the head. His hands were on her head, and after 5 minutes he yelled out, "I'm coming." His cum shot over her face and tits. She used her fingers to lick up his cum, then licked his dick again. He was still hard, and she got up and placed her back against the wall and signaled him to come over with her finger. He walked over and kissed her. their tongues exploring each other's mouth moaning. He lifted her left leg and teased her slit. She moaned and said, "Please Naru-kun. Stick that wonderful cock in me." He kissed her again and slammed into her. Oh, yes harder koi. Fuck my dirty pussy harder. Clean my dirty pussy with your cum. Kyuubi yelled. She wrapped her legs around his waist and he fucked her harder and faster. He used his hands to hold her ass, squeezing it making her moan louder. He alternated between sucking and licking her breasts. They kept this up for 20 minutes and she had come 3 times. She could feel his cock twitching in her and knew he was close. Naruto knew he was close too, so he used one of his hands to rub and pinch her clit trying to get her close too. He watched her tits bounce as he kept slamming into her pussy and he felt it coming. "I'm coming Heim," he yelled. "Ah me too koi," Kyuubi yelled. "Q Heim," he yelled as he thrust as deep as he could, releasing his seed into her womb, filling it and then some. "Naru-kun," she yelled, coating his cock in her juices. "Lemon over." They panted with him still in her. They washed each other off and went to sleep with her back against his chest and his arms around her waist, keeping her close to him. "Night koi," Naruto said, kissing the side of her neck. "Night koishi," Kyuubi replied, grinding her hips into his. She chuckled as she felt something between her ass cheeks. "And night to you too." Naruto chuckled and they went to sleep. It was now 2 days since he became a genin and Naruto woke up around 8 a.m. He knew his Aniki would be giving his team its test today and he was still infamously late, so that gave him till 1 p.m. at the latest, as that was when each Junin was to report whether their team passed or not. He went through his morning warm-ups and got dressed. He decided to head over to see Makoto. He left the compound and arrived on top of the Hokage monument. After looking across the village, he headed toward the Uchiha district. He walked into the district and approached the main house and knocked on the door. Makoto sighed as she sat in her living room. She had wished her son good luck on his test today, but he just replied in his usual HN. She was also bored. Lately all she's been doing was training to keep her skills and body in shape. Ever since she became clan head, she hadn't been able to take any missions since she had to take care of Sasuke as well. Luckily they had enough money to live on. She was broken from her thoughts as she heard a knock at the door. Who could that be at this hour? She thought. She opened the door and was surprised to see Naruto there. "Morning Miko-chan," Naruto said. "Miko-chan," Makoto thought and blushed. She smiled at him and said, "Good morning Naru-kun. What are you doing here?" "I came by as I had a feeling you could use the company. So I thought I'd kidnap you for the morning," Naruto said with a grin. Makoto rose an eyebrow and was about to retort until Naruto quieted her with capturing her lips with his own. He licked her lips, making them part, and he stuck his tongue in. "No matter how many times we've done this, it always feels like the first time," she thought, dazed. He stopped and scooped her into his arms, bridal style, making her giggle. "Ready to be my prisoner this morning Miko-chan?" he asked, wriggling his eyebrows. Makoto giggled and replied, "Oh, I hope somebody rescues me from this terrible man." With that she wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. They broke apart and he jumped to the roofs and sped out of Konoha. When they arrived at their destination, she saw a lake surrounded by sakura trees already in bloom. She was amazed at the beauty of it. He kissed her cheek and placed her down. "Wanna go for a swim?" he asked. "But I don't have my bathing suit," she replied. "Neither do I, but our underwear will work," he said and started taking off his clothes. Makoto blushed and started as well. When they were done, she was looking him over. He had a body that Kami must have personally created. He had a tanned body with well-muscled arms, a chiseled chest, a six-pack turning into an 8-pack, strong muscular legs, and she couldn't help but notice the bulge in his boxers. Naruto was looking her over as well and couldn't help but think, MILF. She had creamy skin and a well-toned body worthy of a kunoichi. She had C-cup breasts and a flat stomach. Her hips were wide that were connected to long legs and a luscious ass. She wore a black bra that barely contained her breasts and a G-string thong. "You are absolutely beautiful Miko-chan," Naruto said as he spun her around. Makoto blushed and giggled as he spun her around and she ended up in his arms. They kissed again and then he took her hand and led her to the lake. They spent all morning in the lake, tanning in the sun or laying together in the shade under a sakura tree. Naruto noticed the position of the sun and sighed. I wish we could spend more time together, but it's almost noon and I don't think Sasuke is ready to learn of us yet, so you should be at home before he gets back. Naruto said, tightening his arms around her waist. Makoto sighed as well and replied, "Hi, you're probably right. I'll always love Sasuke as my son, but knowing what he is becoming and what he will become if he activates his Sharingan scares me." Naruto hugged her tighter and kissed her neck, comforting her. Unfortunately, Sasuke has already started walking down the path of evil. I will watch him, and if it is too late for him I will destroy him. Naruto said. He saw a tear run down her cheek and he said, "But if you become my mate, the curse on your family will be erased, since I have Kyuubi in me, and any children we have will not have any of the bloodline's side effects. However, there is a time limit on this. This only lasts till before my 16th birthday, as that is when Kyuubi will be released and will no longer be able to fix the bloodline." Makoto was shocked at this revelation. She smiled and blushed as she thought of them having children and asked, how exactly would she fix the bloodline? Naruto kissed her forehead and said, "It would be when I mark you and make you my mate. She'll channel some of her power into you to fix the bloodline while we both orgasm, and I bite your shoulder, marking you, making you mine." Makoto had a bit of blood running from her nose and Naruto wiped it away, chuckling, and said, "Don't worry about that for now. We still have plenty of time until that happens. For now, let's just spend time together doing things like we did today." Makoto smiled and nodded. "Hi. I haven't had this much fun since before I was arranged to marry my late husband." They spent a couple of minutes together under the sakura tree before they got up and got dressed. She wrapped her arms around him and laid her head against his chest. He brought them back to the Uchiha compound and after kissing her bid her farewell for now. Naruto stopped by Ichiraku Ramen to see Ayame and for some lunch. "Ayame-chan, 3 bowls of miso please," Naruto said to his beautiful waitress of a girlfriend. Ayame smiled and said, "Oh, and how do you plan to pay for it?" I think this should be good enough." With that he leaned over the counter and kissed her. She moaned, and when they parted she took a breath and said, "I expect all of your payments to be like that." He smiled and nodded his head and watched her ass as she took the order to her father. They talked for a few minutes before he noticed the time on the clock on the wall. He kissed her again and left some actual money with a little extra and headed for the Hokage Tower. He hid his presence as he snuck into the room. Only person who's not here would be Aniki. He still has 1 minute left. Kakashi appeared exactly at 1 and took his book out and nodded toward the Hokage. "Well, now that everyone is here, let's begin. We are here to see what teams have passed," the Hokage said and motioned for them to begin. Team 1 fails. Team 2 fails. Team 3 fails. Team 4 fails. Team 5 fails. Team 6 fails. Everyone looked at Kakashi as he put his book away and said, "Team 7 passes." They were all shocked at that, as Kakashi has never passed a team before. "Continue," Sarutobi said. Kurenai spoke next. "Team 8 passes. Since Team 9 is still in circulation, what about your team Asuma?" the Hokage asked. "Team 10 passes," Asuma said. As I thought. Each of the clan heirs passed, as well as that Sai guy and the pink-haired one, Haruno Sakura, I believe. Naruto thought. Kakashi, Kurenai, Asuma, please explain your tests and how they passed. Hiruzen said. They nodded and Kakashi began. Team 7 consists of Sai, Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura. I gave them the bell test and they initially failed. I begun the test after making them wait 3 hours after I told them not to eat breakfast, and it seems the only one who didn't listen was Sai. I don't know who wrote up their files, but they are complete crap. They all hid in the forest once I begun the test. Sakura's stealth skills are horrible. Sasuke is around low genin and Sai is high genin. I went after Sakura first, and for someone who is supposed to be proficient in genjutsu, she fell for the lowest genjutsu possible, the Magen. Narakumi no Jutsu, demonic illusion. Hell viewing technique. After knocking her out, I went after Sasuke, who chose to attack me alone, believing his teammates to be useless. He put up a decent fight, placing some traps around the field and used AC ranked Kaden Jutsu, the Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu, fire release. Great fireball technique, but he seemed to barely have enough chakra for it as he was panting hard after using the technique. I finished him off with the Doden. Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, earth release. Double suicide decapitation technique, and Sakura had just arrived only to scream and faint seeing only Sasuke's head. Now Sai was a surprise. He is easily stronger than Sasuke. In fact, I believe a number of the new genin could actually beat Sasuke. Anyways, he figured out the truth of the test, and even after being blown off by both Sakura and Sasuke, he still helped them as he helped wake Sakura up from the genjutsu and helped Sasuke without him knowing during his fight with me by placing traps. Once the time was up, I tied up Sakura to the post and told the others not to feed her. Once I left, Sai cut her down and offered her his food, and then Sasuke reluctantly agreed. I reappeared hoping to scare the crap out of them and passed them. He finished with a chuckle. The others were shocked at what they heard. Many believed the Uchiha would be the one to pass the team, and some of the more fanatic ones still believed he did. Kurenai spoke next. Team 8 consists of Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino. Well, for my test I had them track me, and the first 2 to touch me would pass, while the third member would be sent back to the academy. Shino figured out the truth of the test quickly enough, and they had Kiba track me. Shino drained my chakra with his bugs and Hinata immobilized me with her gentle fist style. Once they did that, Kiba and Shino touched me at the same time as did Akamaru by jumping on my head, passing the test. Of course they never actually had a chance, but that wasn't the point of the test. They all looked at Asuma, who chuckled nervously. Team 10 consists of the second generation of the Ino Shika Cho trio with Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru and Akamichi Choji. I just evaluated their skills. He chuckled and the other's face faulted. One of the various Junin spoke up. Hokage-sama, I heard of a genin who got a perfect score on each test and even performed the 3 jutsu required without hand seals or saying the name. I also heard he was able to use the Kawerimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique, on Mizuki. What is to happen to him is it seems he is not a part of the 3 teams that passed. The others nodded their head in agreement to the statement. The Hokage was about to reply when a voice replied, putting those that didn't recognize it in a defensive position. Actually, Hokage-sama and I have already come to an agreement to that matter. Everyone looked next to the window to see someone who looked like the Yondaime appear. Who are you and how long have you been here? One of the Junin questioned. Me. The name's Uzumaki Naruto and I am the person who you just spoke about, and I've been here since before Kakashi arrived. Naruto said. One of the Junin began until he was interrupted by Naruto. I wouldn't finish that sentence if I were you. The Sandame's law is still in effect. Besides, if any of you who hate me for housing the Kyuubi would have taken the time to actually learn about the seal, then you would have found out what it does. Their eyes widened as they realized he knew. What do you mean? One of them asked. The seal is designed to convert Kyuubi's chakra into my own, and once I reach my 16th birthday the seal will finish and the demon known as Kyuubi no Yoko will be no more. Naruto said, then mentally added, and the human known as Kyuubi no Yoko will be born. They didn't know what to say. If he was speaking the truth, then they had hated and done terrible things to a child. The Hokage spoke, catching everyone's attention. Naruto-kun speaks the truth. The Yondaime created the seal to convert Kyuubi's chakra into Naruto's own. Once it was finished, the demon would be no more. I am ashamed of this village. You all denied the Yondaime's dying wish for Naruto to be seen as the hero he is for containing the Kyuubi. Naruto and Kyuubi are no different than a kunai being sealed into a scroll, and you also all seem to have forgotten that the Shinigami personally powers the seal holding the Kyuubi. As for what we plan to do, Naruto will be joining teams 7, 8, 9 and 10 for missions that occur outside the village. He will be working by himself though for the majority of his time. Now for everyone except Naruto, Kurenai, Kakashi and Asuma, you are dismissed. I sincerely hope you think of what you have heard here today. They all nodded and left. Once the last person left and the door closed, Kurenai jumped on Naruto, wrapping her legs around his waist as he held her up with his hands on her ass, and the two started making out. Kakashi and Hiruzen were giggling perversely at the scene while Asuma's jaw hit the floor. After a couple minutes they stopped and he let her down with her blushing and him chuckling as they held hands. Hiruzen chuckled and said, now that you two have gotten that out of your system, I asked you four to stay as I remembered that Naruto mentioned he wanted for the teams to meet the next day. Have you an idea in mind where to meet Naruto-kun? Naruto looked outside, then looked back at the others and said, 8 a.m. on top of my father's head on the Hokage monument. Asuma raised an eyebrow and said, Oh. Why there? I want them to actually see what they are willing to risk their lives to protect. The sooner they realize this isn't a game the better. Kiba is too brash and loud. Hinata lacks confidence in herself. Sakura has spent her whole time in the academy trying to win Sasuke's attention, and Ino is only a little better in her training as she is part of a ninja clan. Shikamaru, I can tell, is a genius but is too lazy. Sasuke should be locked up in a mental institute since his fuse has already been lit. Shino and Choji are the closest to being real shinobi, and Sai, well, keep an eye on him. Aniki. He is stronger than he appears, probably low to mid chunin. I believe he is part of Danzo's disbanded root program. Naruto said, using his fingers to put quotes around disbanded. Are you sure, Naruto-kun? Here is an ass. Naruto reached into a pocket in his flak jacket and pulled out a scroll. He unsealed it and showed some documents to the Hokage. I found those in the same compound used by Orochimaru in Sea Country. I found Anko's belongings. It shows that Danzo has been working with Orochimaru after he left Konoha, if not even before that. I plan to gather more evidence on him and any other traitors to Konoha. Naruto explained. Sarutobi looked over the documents and sighed. Very well. This will be your first S-rank mission. You are to locate and obtain evidence of treason on council member Danzo and any other traitors that reside in Konoha's walls. For now, hold on to these documents as they will be safest with you. Naruto nodded and resealed them in the scroll and placed it back in his flak jacket. Kakashi and Asuma bid the Hokage and the couple goodbye after promising to inform their teams to meet at the designated area, and Kakashi promised to arrive on time. Naruto asked Sarutobi to let Team 9 know of where to meet in the morning, and after getting a nod from the 40-year-old Hokage, Naruto grabbed Kurenai's hand and bid his Gigi goodbye as well, then teleported them out of there. When they arrived, Kurenai noticed they were at the dango shop her and the others go to. He smiled at her and led her inside. They spotted Anko, Yugao and Tsubaki inside and went over to them. Naru-kun, Nai-chan. Anko smiled and yelled out. They smiled at her and the others and sat down with Naruto in the middle with Tsubaki and Kurenai on his sides. Anko-chan, Tsubaki-chan, Yugao-chan, how are my lovely ladies? He asked quietly as he rubbed each of their thighs, making them shiver at the warm touch in exchange for not being able to kiss in public yet. Better now that you're here, Naruto-kun. Yugao replied for them. Naruto smiled at them and said, I'm glad. Kur-chan and I just came from the Hokage's office. Kakashi's team, Kurenai-chan's team and Asuma's team all passed. They three were shocked that Kakashi passed a team, and Naruto and Kurenai explained how each team passed. They stayed, talked and ate for an hour and left. They turned into an alley and Kurenai placed up a genjutsu. Once safe, each girl took their turn in a battle of tongues with Naruto. Once it was done and they giggled at his dazed face, they placed a final kiss on his lips and they all took their leave. He was unable to see Makoto or his Inuzuka women as he didn't want to deal with Kiba or Sasuke if they were home, but Naruto did stop by to see Ayame for a couple hours, then headed home. The sun was rising and so was Naruto. He did his usual routine in the morning, and when the time came, headed for the Hokage monument. The four teams minus their sensei all met up at the bottom of the monument. They looked at each other before Shikamaru spoke. Troublesome. Let me guess, your sensei told you to meet on the Yondaime's head at 8 this morning as well. The others nodded while a teen in a green jumpsuit yelled out, Yosh. I shall be the first one to the top, and if not I shall walk all the way down and back up 10 times on my hands. Shikamaru sighed as he watched him run up and he said, troublesome, but we better start heading up to see what this is about. With that he walked up the steps with everyone else following him. They found themselves the only ones up there and decided to sit down. Ino and Sakura were fighting over who gets to sit next to Sasuke, who was trying to keep from killing them. The green kid shouting about the flames of youth, Sai was drawing. Shikamaru was lying down watching the clouds, thinking of coming back up here to watch more clouds later. Choji eating from a bag of chips, thinking they should put a vending machine up here. Shino was sitting quietly looking at various bugs. Kiba and Akamaru were running around. Hinata was looking around at the others with her head down, especially when the male Hyuga, sitting straight up as if he had a stick up his ass, would look at her, and a girl in twin buns playing with her kunai. This was the scene Hitaki Kakashi, Yuhi Kurenai, Sarutobi Asuma and Meidagai arrived upon with a Shunshin no Jutsu. The only ones who appeared to notice were Sai, the green kid, Shino, Kiba and Akamaru, Hinata, the male Hyuga and the panda girl as everyone else was still doing what they were. All right, everyone up front, Kakashi said. The ones that noticed them obeyed but the others did not. Kakashi's eye was twitching and thought, thank Kami I'm not an academy instructor, and yelled, everyone up front now. They quickly obeyed and he gave them a smile behind his mask. Good, now that everyone is here we can begin. The reason you all are here is because of certain conditions. A certain genin will be joining each team here on missions C rank or higher that occur outside of the village. Now he has asked for us all to meet up here so we can introduce ourselves to him and to each other, as you will most likely work with someone else here in the future. Kakashi said. Sakura raised her hand and Kakashi nodded at her. Anyo, Kakashi-sensei, where is this person then? Here. They all heard and saw someone walk out of the forest. He had blue eyes and blonde spiky hair that reached the bottom of his neck with his bangs covering his hitai. He had a face that belonged to royalty with no baby fat and 3 faded whisker-like mark lines on each cheek. He was wearing black steel-toed boots, black anbu pants, and a long dark blue-sleeved shirt with red lines going down the sleeves and a customized green flak jacket issued to Chunin and Junin that had many more pockets than the usual flak jacket. On his left thigh he had his weapons holster containing his shuriken and kunai. Over that he was wearing a white cloak that had a picture of a storm with winds creating waves and whirlpools on the back with red-orange flames on the bottom of the cloak that made him look even more like royalty. He had his kodachis strapped to his lower back that were hidden behind the cloak. Teams 7, 8 and 10 recognized him from their graduation tests. Hey, what the hell are you doing here? Kiba yelled. I do believe that has already been said, but I will explain it again for you. Since I returned to Konoha a day before the graduation tests, there was an odd number of students. To solve this problem, I suggested to the Hokage that when one of the teams present here leaves on a mission C rank or higher outside the village, I would accompany them. That way I learn more about my peers and work on Konoha teamwork. Naruto explained, standing in front of them. Tenten and the rest of the girls blushed when they saw him. Damn, forget Neji. Hello Mr. Hot, Tenten thought. She continued looking him over while he talked. There was a slight breeze that was making his cloak flap, making him look even more regal. He had just finished when she saw what was strapped to the back of his waist and gasped, those swords. It can't be. How does he have those swords? Those belong to Konoha's Red Death, Tenten thought. Naruto heard her and looked at her. Is something the matter, miss? Higurashi Tenten, I was wondering where you got those kodachis. The panda girl identified as Tenten asked. They were a family heirloom, he replied. Oh, you still haven't told us your name? Tenten asked, wondering what he would say. Ah yes, forgive my manners. My name would be Uzumaki Naruto. Now how about we start with the introductions? Tenten nodded while frantically thinking. I can't believe it. Otu-san has to know. He always said his greatest pieces of work were the kodachis he made for a woman whose name was Uzumaki Kushina, the Anbu member known as Konoha's Red Death. She was even his squad leader back when he was in Anbu, and he said she was on par with the Yondaime Hokage. He told me bedtime stories of how the two fell in love and got secretly married, and then they found out she was pregnant with a son. But I always thought it was just that, a bedtime story. Could it be true? He looks so much like the Yondaime and his last name is Uzumaki. I need to tell Dad as soon as I get home. They all sat down in a circle with Kurenai to Naruto's left close enough that their legs were touching, and Tenten to his right. Alright, I'll begin. My name is Yuhi Kurenai. I have just recently become a Junin and sensei of Team 8. My likes are my boyfriend, friends, and sweet bean soup and dango. My dislikes are those who are mean to my boyfriend and my friends. My dreams for the future are to make each member of my team strong enough to become Chunin and to have a family of my own. She said while occasionally rubbing her leg against Naruto's. My name is Hyuga Hinata. I like my sister, mother and the rest of my family. I also like to press flowers. I dislike those who are mean to others and how the branch family is treated. My dream is to make my family proud of me and uniting the main and branch families together. My name is Aburame Shino. I like to collect bugs. I dislike those who kill bugs. My dream is to become an honorable clan head. Alright, my turn. My name is Inuzuka Kiba and this is my partner Akamaru. I like Akamaru, steak, and girls. I dislike cats and my older sister. My dream is to become the head of my clan instead of my sister. My name is Sarutobi Asuma. I am the sensei of Team 10. I like my friends and family and smoking. I dislike those who won't let me smoke. My dreams I guess would be making sure my team all become Chunin as well. I'm the beautiful Yamanaka Ino. I like Sasuke-kun. I dislike Billboard Brow. My dreams are to make my family proud and marry Sasuke-kun. Troublesome woman. My name is Nara Shikamaru. I like clouds. I dislike anything strenuous. My dream is to marry a normal-looking girl, have a girl then 2 boys then when they become Genin retire. They all sweat dropped at his introduction. My name is Akamichi Choji. I like my friends, family and food. I dislike those mean to my friends and those who waste food. My dream is to run my own restaurant. I'm Hitaki Kakashi and sensei of Team 7. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future. Never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. The Genin face faltered at that. Naruto was chuckling while the Junin shook their head at that and Guy was ranting about, damn you Kakashi and your hip attitude. My name is Haruno Sakura. I like, looks at Sasuke and squeals and I dislike Ino Pig. My dreams for the future would be to make my family proud. My name is Sai. I like drawing. I dislike those who threaten Konoha. I have no dream for the future. Naruto looked at Sai and thought, that might work but I'll have to wait a bit longer. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan, and kill a certain someone. Naruto and the Junin shook their heads at that. Yash. My name is Maeda Guy. I am sensei of Team 9. I like training and restoring the flames of youth. I dislike Kakashi's hip and cool attitude. He looks at Kakashi who lifts his head from his book ignoring the killing intent coming from the females and says, you say something Guy. Curse you and your hip attitude Kakashi. Guy yelled. Yash. My name is Rock Lee. I like Guy sensei and my teammates. I dislike those who are mean to others. My dream is to become a great ninja with taijutsu alone. My name is Hyuga Neji. I like my mother and father. I dislike many things. My dream is not of your concern. Tenten shook her head at his introduction and thought, it's the exact same when he first did it. Anyways, my name is Higurashi Tenten. I like weapons and am very good with them. I dislike those who do not take care of their weapons. My dream is to become a world-renowned kunoichi famous as Konoha's weapons mistress. Naruto smiled at her making her smile and blush. Well then my turn. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I left Konoha 9 years ago on my 6th birthday, which is also the anniversary Kyuubi was defeated in the night of the Uchiha massacre. I have met many people in my travels. I specialize in ninjutsu and kenjutsu but am proficient in other areas as well. The Junin excluding Guy let out a small snort and said together, that's an understatement. Naruto chuckled and continued, anyways I look forward to working with you and getting to know you each better, perhaps even becoming friends. As for why I asked to meet up here, I wanted to show you something, so if you would get up and follow me. With that he got up and offered a hand to Tenten and Kurenai, who smiled and accepted. They followed him to the edge of the Yondaimi's head and looked over all of Konoha. Naruto looked over the village with his back to them and began talking, this is what I wanted you to see. The world of ninja is not some game. You will be expected to kill others to protect Konoha, and I'm not just talking about the buildings. Those can be rebuilt, but the people are what are important. I wanted to know if you are truly willing to sacrifice your lives for Konoha. He turned around and looked at them. I've already killed hundreds in my travels. Whether they were bandits or missing nin. There were people being hurt because of them and I stopped them. Do you know how old I was when I made my first kill? 8. I was 8 years old. I was walking down a dirt road when I came upon a scene. There were 30 samurai guarding a carriage, and in front of them were roughly 50 bandits, and leading them looked like 3 shinobi that had slashes across their hite. I inspected it and noticed they were leaf ninja. The bandits were no match against the training of the samurai, but then I noticed the shinobi were running through the trees to flank the carriage. I watched as they leapt and charged the rear of the carriage, and I quickly drew 2 kunai. I threw them at the 2 genin and killed them as my kunai pierced the back of their skulls. I then fought the chunin. It lasted a couple minutes until I spotted my opening and stabbed him in the skull with his own kunai. With the adrenaline gone, I looked back down at the 3 men I just killed. I saw the blood, and you know what I did? Naruto asked them. The genin shook their head no, enthralled at what he was telling them. I ran to the side of the road and threw up. To know you have the power to take a life is a powerful and scary feeling. Many ninja lose their mind after their first kill. The truly evil of humanity come to enjoy it. Remember this. As long as you never enjoy killing, you will never become a monster. You kill because you fight to protect your precious people. When you leave here today, remember what you have heard. Each Junin here is willing to give their life for each and every one of you. Are you even capable of doing it for the ones you love? With that, he turned around and looked over the village again. The Junin each nodded toward their team and watched as they left. You will make a great leader, Naru-kun, Kurenai said and hugged him from behind. He turned around and kissed her. They broke apart and Naruto looked at Guy and said, I believe it's time you became informed of what is going on. With that, he made sure the area was safe and used his ninpo, Mukanran Waza ninja art, life viewing technique. Once it was done, Guy said, Yosh, your flames of youth burn brightly, Naruto-kun. I shall run 500 laps around Konoha to honor your flames of youth. Before he could stop him, Guy sped off down the monument. Naruto sighed, then grinned and turned back to Kurenai, who eeked at his face, then giggled as he rushed over and picked her up bridal style and placed kisses all over her face and neck. He finished with one of his famous kisses and broke apart, looking her in the eyes and said, My name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. My likes are the loves of my life and my friends. My dislikes are those who hurt my precious people. My dreams are to rule my kingdom and Konoha with my wives and raise a family with the loves of my life. He took a deep breath and said, I love you, Yuhi Kurenai. Kurenai, Kakashi and Asuma were shocked at what Naruto just said, knowing what he meant. Kurenai started crying and said, I love you, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, and kissed him. They broke apart and he smiled and said, When the time comes, will you become one of my wives, mates and mother of my children? She cried and blushed and said, I want to become one of your wives, mates, and mother of your children. Naruto looked at Kakashi and Asuma, who had shocked written all over their faces, and said, CYA, before poofing out of there, leaving them by themselves. They looked at each other and said, Lucky bastard, and laughed.